Well, all right, let's talk Jayden Daniels, who, a lot of people were wondering if you're going to have a letdown year two. Part of it was just because we were kind of off CJ Stroud having a letdown year two, which obviously that's not great logic because just because one player has a letdown year two doesn't mean another one will. But there's some other logic, right? Defensive coordinators get a whole offseason of tape on Daniels, and just, sometimes there is a little issue that we didn't notice year one that becomes a bigger issue year two. Daniels also got banged up in this game, so let's talk about what went wrong for him. When he was healthy. Let's start there. So first, you're gonna see on this play, this is a 3rd down and 6. You have a receiver trying to get into a gap in coverage. The route I've circled at the end of in white is where he's gonna look towards. Daniels takes the snap, and I do have to say there's been just a little bit of inconsistencies with his accuracy this season. I mean, you see, the way you want this to work is hit your receiver in stride, allow him to keep running, and just squeeze forward to pick up a first down. But with this throw being a bit high and outside, ultimately it's still a catch and it's still a completion, but you can't get the first down there. If it's a perfect throw, is that a first down? To be honest, I don't know. But I would have liked to have that opportunity, right? So near miss there, ultimately, results in the play not being able to work. They have to punt the ball back to Dallas. This play was another one. It's a 3rd down and 5. You see this out route right here against man coverage, one-on-one matchup, and Commanders have a lot of injuries to their receiving core. That's 1,000% a part of this issue. They're looking at Jaylen Lane, who I think they drafted mostly just to be a special teams guy. He's had to play meaningful snaps for this team. Although on this play, he ends up getting open. I mean, there is space right here. A good throw and good catch, and this is a completion working against Deron Bland, who's not an easy guy to beat like this, but it's a good job to win this matchup. However, this throw is just off. Was that a communication thing, or was that a misfire altogether? Again, I'm not in the huddle. I can't say for certain exactly how deep the route was supposed to go, but ultimately, the fact that it was, whether it was communication or just a misfire, these are plays you need the Commanders to hit on. Heading over to this play, this is, to me, I think the biggest issue that we're seeing is it's a 4th down and 5, and no Terry McLaurin. Again, a lot of injuries to the offense. Usually McLaurin's the guy you look towards on this situation. Well, you don't have him, so they're going to instead look towards Zach Ertz. And you see why. This route going more over the middle, certainly one that can work in this situation. This is a lot of times a good option against this type of coverage when there's no one covering over the middle of the field. Daniels is going to take the snap, and you see right here, I mean, it's not wide open. The Commanders have a little bit of a window, but honestly, this is pretty good defense here by Dallas. So, again, if you're Jayden, you kind of got to just make this throw and hope it can work out. Ultimately, though, it's Marquise Bell who has the coverage, knocks it away. So, again, 4th down and 5. Part of it was last year they were consistently winning in these situations. Well, here, they're not able to do so. Ultimately ends up incomplete. So, yeah. Not ideal there. Worth noting, there was a penalty on the play that was offensive holding, so it had no impact on the failures for the Commanders. Now, I want to go over here, because I do have to say, ultimately, this was not a bad offensive day by Washington. And while quarterbacks are always going to get the blame, especially when it's, a situation like this, where the Commanders are kind of built around their offense, being able to outscore their defense, similar to how Dallas is, but they did have some good offensive plays here. So, you see how the Cowboys are showing us that they're going to blitz right here. However, watch how when Daniels takes a snap, it is not a blitz. They drop back into coverage, and Daniels reads this. He's very patient in the pocket, ultimately decides to make a throw, but at this point, it is wide open. So really good job to be patient, read the situation, and trust that he doesn't have to get rid of the ball quickly just because they were showing that there was going to be a blitz. This throw, I'll be honest, is a bit underthrown, so that's not ideal on that one, but hey, a bit underthrown for a completion is not the worst thing in the world. That's a Jaylen Lane play. Nice route and nice catch from Jaylen Lane, and they're able to pick up plays that way. This one, another one where you do still see the explosiveness in his rushing. So this is a 1st down and 10. Daniels is going to take the snap. There is going to be a little bit of pressure off the edge, but there's enough of a running lane for him to step up. You have a Dallas player who's kind of aware of Daniels, trying to see if he can run in and make a tackle. However, watch Daniels, as he does so well, just gets by his assigned man, picks up the first down on that play. Really good stuff there from Jayden Daniels. So yeah, you see the Jayden Daniels of old is still in there to some degree. This play probably the best example. It's a 3rd down and 10. They're down 12 points. Game's far from over with 12 minutes left in the third quarter. Watch as when Jayden Daniels takes the snap, there's going to be some pressure up the middle towards the right, so he just drifts out towards the left. Again, his ability to just add time, all while keeping his eyes downfield, looking to see if there is an option for him to throw to, and here there is. Watch as he off balance makes a nice throw. They're able to pick up a first down on that 3rd down and 10. That's a really good play from Daniels. So, again, a lot of criticisms about, year 2 slump and all of that stuff, and I understand it. However, there is still plenty of good. It's not quite as dominant as it was last year, but it is not a mess or anything like that. It's still, I think it's CJ Stroud from year 1 to year 2 went from, awesome and still not as good as what Jayden Daniels was last year to, this isn't really working too well. To me, Daniels, is working. It's just not working as well as it was last year. Heading over here, this is going to be the fumble play, so some people don't really want to see something like that, which I understand, so I'm just going to warn you ahead of time. I'll probably just show it once just because, it's the play where Daniels got injured on, but it's a fumble, so I should talk about it. You see Daniels is going to take the snap. There's going to be an unblocked player, but he does not protect himself and does not protect the football. So, again, ideally, you would like to see him learn how to protect himself. I've now just cut to the next play just so I don't have to show it over and over again. But again, if you want to see it, you can rewind and see it again if you want to. But ultimately, not doing a great job at protecting himself there, which results in the injury. You would like to see him maybe recognize it and brace for impact and protect the football because you fumbled the football there as well. It was a game at that point. It was very much a game. It was a 12-point game, and if Daniels avoids that pressure, who knows? Maybe they get a touchdown. It's now a 1-score game early on in the third quarter. Okay, we have a real shootout going. Ultimately, now Daniels is out. Mariota gets thrown into the fire, immediately throws a pick 6, and that's kind of ball game. This other play just going to be a drop pass. Again, was not all on Daniels' fault when plays didn't work, but ultimately, this wasn't a disaster by any stretch of the imagination offensively for the Commanders, even if the overall game situation just did not do what they wanted. They ended up with over 2 points per drive, which is still not enough against a bad Dallas defense. I think that's kind of the biggest critique is why weren't you able to dominate a defense that people have been able to dominate? They only looked solid there, so I think that's the criticism. But ultimately, I don't know. I still think Daniels is good. I just don't think this team played as well enough in this game. They gave up 44 points, so obviously that's a big issue. To me, the biggest issue of Daniels is he has to protect himself better. Best ability is availability, right? But ultimately, the missed throws are what they are. He's going to miss a few a game. You're just going to have to live with that. The good still outweighs the bad. I still think Daniels is a good quarterback, but I don't know if the Commanders are a good team right now. That's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Jayden Daniels. Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.